So hi everyone, welcome to the first video of self-scripting courses. I hope you all are doing well. And as always, this is your instructor. And in this introductory video, we are going to have a small glimpse about what exactly the self-scripting is, what does it means according to Google, and we'll try to understand in a basic terminologies. Apart from this, there is a term which is called kernel, why it is important, how the kernel is interacting with cell, how the operating system is working. This is what we are going to cover in this video. Why we are covering? Because this is essential. While when you are going to work on cell scripting, then you need to understand exactly how your cell is interacting with your operating system, how the functionality is going around. So that's the thing. So first, as always, this tutorial is being designed for the beginners and for those who are working into the industry. And and exactly we are going to learn about shell scripting. I'm not going to get mostly into Linux command because we have already created a course on it. You can check out the Linux basic course from us. And this is a little bit upgraded version of Linux course where we are going to learn about shell scripting. And especially we are going to focus on bourne again, which is called bash. Anyway, if you don't know about this, then we'll try to explain you exactly what is bash, what is bourne real shell, and all those associated terms. So at first, I assume you have at least working knowledge of Linux. uh, Working knowledge means you have basic knowledge of how the Linux works, command, how to create some sort of file, how to copy, how to remove, and how to create some sort of directories, which is very much easy. Also, I assume that you know how to use the Vim editor, you know how to use the leaf pad, how to log in into your system, and the basic essentials that we already covered. So before starting the Linux shell scripting course programming, first we need to understand exactly is what does kernel means, what is cell exactly. Like our course is based on cell scripting. So what exactly cell is? What is the basic definition? How we can understand? This is what we are going to learn. Some types of cell we are going to look into the matter, and then we'll get into the basic of cell. Actually, the course is very much longer, but this is the specific content that we're going to cover in this tutorial. So, at first, let's understand what exactly the kernel is, because kernel is very much important, and because before cell, kernel is coming over there. So, let's understand what exactly kernel is. So, kernel is basically you can call as the heart of the operating system. Suppose if this is operating system, then this is the kernel. Okay, this is basically called kernel as a heart of operating system. Why it is called? We are using Linux in this tutorial, so we are assuming Linux. Whenever I call OS, then just assume it as a Linux. Basically, kernel, why it is called the heart of operating system, because it manages resources into the operating system in Linux. And here, when I call resources, then specifically it means that the facility that is being available in Linux. Facilities, what are the facilities that is available? I'm not able to access any facility. But let me simplify it. What kind of facility uh, kernel is providing, and the resources that is being managed. So facility can be something like a facility of store data, facility of print data, facility of memory, file management, and etc etc. So this is basically what I call kernel. Whenever I call which it is the heart of the operating system, it manages the resources of the operating system, and resources means the facility which is available to the Linux, which is there are a couple of examples that I told you right now. So uh, there are a couple of uh, things as well. Like I also try to make it little bit more simplified. So always kernel basically decide who will be using the resources. who will be using the resources that they are providing, how long they are going to use, and when they are going to use. So basically, it runs your program or setup to execute binary files in its memory, and its memory resident is basically a person to the Linux, and it perform couple of tasks as well. So tasks can be something like, let me, what kind of task it is performing. Then task maybe the input output management. Another thing is the process management. Another thing can be the device management. Another thing can be the file management and memory. There are some more things. Okay, so these are a couple of tasks that is being managed by the kernel. Okay, so we have understand exactly what kernel is, what is the basics. So let's try to understand once again in some more simplified manner exactly, so that I am explaining you kernel because operating system is based on kernel. If there will be no kernel, then the things will be not going to run around. Let me take a sip of my coffee. It's getting cold. Yeah. So kernel. So basically, whenever we call operating system is nothing. It's not like there is a specific thing which is called as operating system. Operating system is basically made of multiple component. There are multiple component. There's a lot of component, but specifically we are going to talk about two main components, and there are two primary components which is being important for the OS. So let me explain you with a diagram. Two important thing is kernel and shell. So let's assume this one as operating system. Okay, and this section is basically your hardware section, right? This is where the hardware is there. Suppose if you are using a window, suppose if you are using a PC, then you are having some sort of motherboard is there. There is some graphics card is there, processor, GPU, everything is there. So this is comes under the hardware part. After that, the main sections comes. This one is the main section, which is on what we are going to discuss about. So this is the part of operating system. This is called operating system. So operating system is directly interacting with the hardware. Okay, but how it is uh, getting directly interacted? If there is some human who is sitting over there, then basically there are two components. First thing is the kernel. This one is the kernel, and this one is the cell. Okay, and this is basically the part of operating system. So basically, the operating system, like we are talking about operating system. So here you can see kernel is the innermost part of the operating system, and cell is basically something outer part of the operating system. And to interact with uh, operating system, either you need some GUI or CLI thing. So for that in Linux we are using terminal. In Windows you are using GUI, which is called graphical user interface. So for accessing any operating system, there is two functions. First thing the CLI, another thing is the GUI. CLI means command line interface. Let's say in Windows we are using PowerShell. So this is the CLI, okay, and this is basically the CLI that is being available. And if you're using through some graphical method, then this is called GUI. So this is the exact basic difference between what is CLI and GUI. Say the terminal which is interacting with the operating system, and after that the end users come, the user who are going to access the things. So this is the basic hierarchy of operating system, and you can say the component of cell programming. Directly you can say this is the basic component of the cell program. So when you have when you was into your school days, then you must be heard of nucleus in biology most probably. So actually I'm not a good student in bio. I try to recover, just remind the thing, it was called like nucleus is the brain of mitochondria, something like that. So here again kernel is something nucleus of the operating system, nucleus of the computer. Basically, it makes the communication between the hardware and the software possible, because without kernel this is not possible to interact between hardware and software. While the kernel is the innermost part, as I told you earlier, and of an operating system, and cell is the outermost part. So like you are calling, why then what is this terminal, what is this thing? Actually I'm talking about the operating system. In operating system, kernel is the innermost and cell is the outermost part. So this is, I guess, the things is bit more clear. I guess you're able to understand. If you're not able to understand, just write us on support@viehgroup.com. We'll try to explain you once again without any taking charge. Anyway, now let's move on. Exactly what is Linux cell? We were talking of cell. I just given a little bit hint as well, but let's remind what exactly the Linux cell is. Okay, so hmm, we'll be talking about what exactly the Linux cell. What is the Linux cell? So as we all know, computer is basically understanding only two languages, zero and one. I am damn sure you have read about what is binary in your five, six, seven, your classes when you were a kid. And if you are a CS student, if you are IT student, then you must familiar with what exactly the binary is. So computer only understand the language of 0 and 1, which is called binary. Okay. So in earlier days, like very year back, the computer, very early days of computer, instructions are being provided into the binary language, which is very difficult for us to understand, and which is exactly impossible for us to communicate with the operating system by using binary languages. So it was basically used for read and write purposes. So in basically the operating system, there is a special program which is called cell. So this is exactly the very special program in your operating system. So cell accept your instructions or command in English and translate it into the computer native binary languages. So this is working as the interpreter while converting your language into the binary language. You give some sort of commands and it convert into the computer language, computer process, and then it give you the output. This is exactly how the process works. So let me try to explain you with an example exactly what cell does for us. Cell is a very good guy. Let me take a sip of coffee. I swear this was the last sip. I'm not going to disturb you once again. So let me explain with a drawing. Actually, I'm very bad into drawing, but let me try. So we'll be understanding exactly what cell does for us. Let's say this is a box. Let's try to explain you with the box once again. I'm a very boxy guy. Anyway, so here you are going to give your command, or you are going to write your shell script. Shell script is, let me give you a small briefing exactly what shell scripting is. Shell scripting is something, a file with the extension .sh, which is born again shell, and you give some sort of instructions. Let's say if you're using ls command in Linux, ls is basically for the listing, cd is basically for changing directory. So if you would like to run both this command, then you might create a shell script where you just at first locate the path and then write down ls cd and the path where you would like to travel. So this is exactly comes under a box. You can create a file with the extension .sh for kali or parrot, for debian especially, and this is, hey, good to go after giving the permission. So we'll understand in deep manner, but the main concern was exactly explaining you the basics of what exactly the shell script is. So here is your command, here is the shell script that you're providing. After that, it will go to the Linux shell. Okay, this was your input, either a command or a shell script. Then this will go to the Linux shell, and after that, this thing that was shared with the Linux shell, it converted to the binary language. Okay, it getting converted to the binary language by shell. Okay, which was it was travel to here and it was travel to here and it was converted into binary language. Binary language means 0 1. And after that, now your Linux kernel will able to understand your request because it was converted into 1 0. And as we have discussed earlier, 1 0 is the language, binary is the language, what that's what your computer is understanding. So here your computer will understand the exact what you'd like to say and then will revert you with the output. And uh, let me try to explain you once again exactly in like this was the pictorial graph. Let me tell you with the commands. Let's say if you have entered the command ls. Okay, you have entered the command ls, then you have entered the command date. Okay, date is basically for checking out what is the date going on, and then you have typed the command t, time, sorry, not t, time. You have given the input. This is your bash on what we are going to work. This is the cell which is called bourne again cell, and this is bash. In our case, we are assuming bash only because the whole course is based on bash. Then this is 1 0 converted into binary. Okay, whatever decision they make, they will get converted into 1 0 0 1 0, something like whatever. And then this is the Linux kernel. So this is exactly how the things is getting transferred into your operating system, how you're getting the output. So this is the exact and basic thing how the things travel into your operating system. So you can say in an easy term, it provide its environment provide for the user interaction. And shell is basically a command language interpreter that execute command read from the standard input devices, which might be the keyboard or from a file. And here Linux may use some of the what you say most popular shell. So before understanding the types of shell, what exactly I just told you a term, the term was interpreter. So what is interpreter? Interpreter, there are two things that is being compiling your code. Like I'm damn sure you have gone through the Python, you know, C and some more languages. So there are two things which is authenticating your code, like it is correct or not. So let's in C, I guess there is a compiler. In Python, there is the interpreter. If you having compiler, then this will be more, bit fast. If you have interpreter, then this will be little bit slow. So in shell scripting, there is an interpreter. Compiler, what does compiler means? Let's say if you have written a code in C, okay, and code is basically contain 10 lines. Okay, you have created a file with the name test.c. It contains 10 lines. Then compilers basically what does it do? It will scan your whole command, and if everything fits fine, then it will go through the output. And what does interpreter means? So let's say if you using Python, there are 10 lines of command, and uh, interpreter basically what does it do? It will just scan your commands one by one line, then second line, then third line, then fourth line, then it will going to give you the output. So compiler is little bit slow and interpreter is little bit fast. Okay, so this is exactly how the things is working, what is compiler and what is interpreter. I just given you a small hint, might be feel that in future sessions we'll understand the deep things about compiler interpreter as well. Now there are a couple of famous uh, you can say cells. They are famous cells. What are the famous cells? We are going to cover again. I repeat, we are only going to cover the bash scripting, but let me explain you what is a couple of cells that is famous. So first one is the, let me make it a little bit slower. Okay. So first cell is bash on which we are going to work on. So bash exactly means Bash actually means burning against self. Okay, so this is the what does bash means. The full form bash is burning against self. You have using most probably you are using bash, but I guess most of you don't know the full form. So bash means burning against self. Burning again. SH for self. This is this was being developed by the Brian Fox and Chet Remy. This is not important for us. From where it comes? It comes from the Free Software Foundation, which is a kind of organization which is working on this kind of thing. So Bash is basically the most common shell in Linux. It's freeware shell. Freeware is something which is free and kind of premium experience. Anyway, this is open source, I guess. So Bash is basically available in Linux. Either you are using Parrot OS, either you are using Kali Linux. Bash is available over there, and especially Bash is coming with the Debian based flavor. Debian based means again the Kali and Parrot. These are the Debian based operating system. There is fresh Debian as well. So this is exactly what is Bash. Next is CSH. I'm damn sure most of you have not heard about this. So CHH is basically C cell. What does it mean? This was created by the Bill Joy, which is not again important for us. This comes from the University of California. It was created for the BSD. So basically, the C cell syntax and uses are very similar to the C programming language, and it was used in some different operations. And this was especially for the BSD purpose. BSD created for the BSD. Third one is the KSH, which is a con cell. This is not what we are going to discuss. It will take a lot of time. Con cell. So this was created by David Kohn, and it was into AT&T Bell's lab. AT&T Bell, I guess, is the same company who have created C language. So no remark on KSH. Anyway, bash is important for us, so we are going to give value to the bash only, and we are not going to give you a sit, guys. Sorry for the word, but this is also important. But right now, this is out of focus. Okay, the radar is on this. We are not going to work on this part. This is the main concern for us. So I have told you about three cell. So any of these cells read command from the users via keyboard or mouse, whatever input device you have, and tell Linux operating system what users want. If we are going to give a command from the keyboard, it is called like command line interface, as I told you, and usually in this is a sign exactly of bash, I believe. So this is the prompt. This prompt is basically depends upon your cell and environment that you are set, and depends on the administrator system administrator privilege. Basically it changes, I guess. Dollar hash is being used, which is a default for the bash, and if you give the root privilege it will convert into dollar. So this is how you can find if you have the root privilege or the normal user privilege. So let me show you something how exactly. So let me start with the virtual box. I am having Kali. Most probably, I guess you know how to install. These are the basic settings that I have done. Go through the same setting. This is, I guess, cool. I believe with the less, giving very less processes and all those things. So just depend on you, whatever you like to select. There's a lot of tutorial on YouTube. Select accordingly. So these are things that we have given, and just check out the things that we have provided, the settings which might be important for you while setting up the things. So let's boot up our machine, which is Kali Linux I'm using, which is the updated one, and today is 23rd of December. So this is the latest version that I'm using right now. Grub is there, grub loader. System is booting up. I hope this is not going to give you any sort of error. Actually, I'm a Parrot OS user. I was using Parrot from last 5 years, I guess, but I have switched to Kali because there's a lot of reasons. Not specifically because I've just purchased a new system and I literally hate Windows. But right now I'm using in Window. This VM is being running into the window and just window because I have to create some sort of tutorial. That was the main reason. Anyway, the system has been booted up. So suppose in case if you have to find out which cells you are having in your system, then how you can find out. Open up your terminal. Echo command is being used for printing something. Then just give the sign cell enter, but this is not going to work because it is case sensitive. So let type echo in capital cell. So it's out. Then exactly you think of what does ZSH means. Basically, this is the simplest form of Born cell bash. You can Google out as well. Uh, Let me start a Firefox. So what is ZSH? Then you can read out like ZSH, also known as ZCell, is an extended version of the Born which is bash. So this is exactly the basics of the thing, and there are a couple of more things we are going to cover in the upcoming session. How to use let me show you how you can create a small file, shell script file. Just click there, create document, and this is the just put it with the extension .sh. Here we go. So this is the basic part that we have, and we are going to pull up some commands, some things more here, and then we are going ready to go. But before that, we have a lot of things to cover out. Some commands that we have. So I'll try to cover up some commands as well into the upcoming session. Let me show you some basic command of Linux. ls is basically for the listing. What are the files? What are the things that is available? This one, uh, there is one more command minus l. This is so you which one is the directory. Like in my case, dash is there. D is written over there, which is directory. Dash means a file, which is test.sh that we have created right now. Suppose if you would like to get into desk, then click cd desk. You are in. Here you can see. If you would like to get outside, cd dot dot, you are outside. And as I told you in bash, the normal user will be having this symbol with them, and the root privilege user which will be having. Let me type out. Let me give it the root privilege sudo su, and password is basically a bit complex. And here you can see it has been converted to hash. I have spelled wrong. I remember, but it was the same thing that I told you right now. Dollar is basically for the normal user, and this will denote the bash, and hash is for the super user. So this is exactly how the things work. In next session, we'll be looking into the basics of what is shell script, what is Linux, the basic command. So that's all for this video. I hope you found this tutorial a little bit interesting, and hope you'll complete this course as earliest as possible. So let's see you in the next video.